Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another In Conversation with the Royal Butler. And today I would like to talk to you about the two princes, William and Harry, who are the sons of His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales and the late Diana, Princess of Wales. Today I want to talk to you about Princes William and Harry, and the reason I'm obviously discussing them now is because there's a huge amount of debate both online, in the news, and just in general. I've even noticed that whenever I put any posts up on my social media, it suddenly generates a lot of anger, frustration, upset, and it's really tricky. It's difficult for me to read those when I know the family, I know the boys as we knew them, as I knew them back then. And so I wanted to give you a little bit of an insight into them, talk about some of my memories with them, and just how I understand it and see it kind of going forward. But what I do encourage is for you to continue sharing your views and your comments, and because I think what's important is it's good to discuss it. And I noticed that some of you got very strong views, and I'm a huge believer that nobody should ever be suppressed. I mean, if you've got views or opinions, then you have every right for those to be heard, because you are a human being. We're all human beings, and we've all got the right to put our views forward, and no one else should turn around and say that those views or ideas are wrong. But there's nothing wrong with a discussion, and everyone kind of putting their ideas and views together, if I can say that. And that's what's so good about this YouTube channel. I've noticed these discussions going on, and it's nice. I think it's quite nice, and I hope you all enjoy commenting and interacting with each other as well. So Prince William was born in 1982 and Prince Harry was born in 1984. And of course, their parents, as I've mentioned, the Prince of Wales and the late Diana, Princess of Wales. And by all accounts, their upbringing was relatively normal. A lot of you assume that with them being royal princes, they would have had this amazing privileged lifestyle. And yes, they do live in beautiful homes. They do have some amazing experiences. But the actual upbringing that they had was as normal, I believe, as possible. Of course there was nannies, and we don't all have nannies. What I'm trying to refer to is that look at how their mother would often be seen at theme parks or taking them out and about and just doing normal things with them. And their father. There's footage as well of Prince Charles doing the same thing. So their upbringing was relatively, if I can say, normal. Well, as normal as you can be, being a royal. And the brothers, again, from what I understand, were close from a very young age, because the age gap between the two is obviously quite small. And so they did grow up as friends and similar interests and hobbies, same kind of group of friends. And as we all watched and witnessed, because we've seen them grow up, this is the thing about when you're a royal, you live in a goldfish bowl, if you like. Everybody gets to see and hear everything, and so there isn't much room for privacy, which is something that, as you all know, the royal family have always been keen to try to get, is some privacy, which you can understand, because at the end of the day they are a family, and as well as carrying out public duties and all the public things, there has to be sometimes a part of that where they have privacy, and that is something, as you all know, even the two boys are very keen on. But as I mentioned before, they're also very happy, as we can all see, carrying out public engagements. Now, when I went to work for the two princes, I believe Prince William would have been in his early 20s. Prince Harry was probably just finishing off his teens, so probably around about 19 around about that age, 19. Harry William would probably been about 21, and or thereabouts. And it was a really nice, for me, it was wonderful, as you've heard in other conversations where I talk about the princes. It was a great experience because, again, I'm not that much older than them. And so there was a kind of connection from the age point of view where I found it very easy to relate to a lot of their interests and hobbies and things that they did because of the same generation. But I was employed by their father, the Prince of Wales, and that was my main purpose, was as a butler to the Prince and his family. But of course his family, being William and Harry, meant there was opportunities for me to look after them. And as I've said before, there was occasions that I'd be off duty and I would volunteer to help and do things for them. And the reason I did that was because they are both two genuinely nice individuals. They're very kind, they're very caring, and they're very compassionate. And I still believe that. A lot of you might disagree with me on this, but I still believe that of both of them. And when I was there, as I said, I could see they were very close. Whenever I used to kind of travel the country, if I travelled with both of them, there was always a lot of humour. There was always banter. There was always, I loved that side of it. That's what made it fun. You all see the kind of serious side of being a butler where it's very much 7 meals, 7 drinks, looking after guests, do all the kind of traditional butler things. But the great thing, the butlers today, the word I'm in today, is you also get to know these families from a personal point of view. You get invited to personal and private events even though you're a butler. So there was occasions that I would get to attend, as well as travel with the boys. I would also get to attend things with them. And again, I got to see them from both sides. So I got to know them from the working point of view, but I also got to know them from that private point of view. And as I said, both fantastic, great, very close, very, very close. I always remember that, whenever there was a discussion between both of them, they always talked things and we'd very much come up with the same opinion or answer on something if there was something I was discussing with them. But they complemented each other. And as I said, the humour was hysterical. You've seen the humour. There's been footage of them with their father where you see the fun, comical side to them. And that was what was really nice. I think the great thing is the father has very much let them be and has kind of left them to have, again, as normal upbringing as possible. And so whenever there's been an opportunity for them to have a bit of fun, even in front of the public, it's very much encouraged. It's not tabooed and it's not kind of frowned at. Maybe at one time in the royal family, it would have been because it just wasn't the done thing. Where today, or in the last few years, it's been very different. And of course, losing their mother was what a thing. How do you even begin to imagine what that was like from such a young age? Young age. There was so many things they should have been able to do with their mother, and they've just been robbed of that, or they all have. And so I really felt for them. And as you know, that's one of the reasons I wanted to go and work for the princes, or for their father, so that I could help, just be there, which amazingly happened. Now, of course, it's been said that because, obviously, with his mother's death, that Prince Harry has struggled. Well, I'm sure that both the princes have struggled, and mental health is very serious and it's very tricky, because it's difficult for somebody to say, oh, they don't have mental health, or they do, or because unless you're that person suffering, it's difficult and it's easy for us all to judge. So I think when Prince Harry has said that he did struggle, I totally believe that. And I think he would have, I'd like to think he got the support. People have asked me, would he have got the support? And I would like to think that he got the support. And from my point of view, I always thought he was, he always managed to kind of be upbeat and happy. But that doesn't mean anything because, as you know, people, when they're suffering from mental health or depression, they can be very good at pulling the wool over other people's eyes. And as I said, I think both the boys would have struggled with it, and of course Harry has openly spoken about it. But the Prince William and the Duchess of Cambridge, both, as well as Prince Harry and the Duchess of Sussex, they support mental health charities, and I think that's really, really important because I think they really understand it, and they're able to kind of help others due to their experiences. Whenever there was a kind of practical joke, if I was ever having a joke kind of played on me by the princes, the young princes, they were both involved. It was very rare if one of them. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but it was very rare if it was just one of them. They as I said, they acted as a team. So if they did things, they did it as a team, and that was what was really nice because the humour and the banter that went with both of them was wonderful. And I always assumed that would never change. I think I just thought that that relationship between them would always remain. But as we all know with families, you can have good days and you can have bad days, and that's part of a family. A really good friend always said to me, or even says to me, you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your family. Now, in some instances, you will say that your family are your friends, which is fantastic. And with the princes, when I knew them, they were not only brothers, they were the best of friends. So that was very much true. And as I said, when I was there, the relationship was extremely close. So there's one little story I want to share with you to give you an insight into the humour of the young royal princes. And it was many years ago, just after I joined the royal household, I went on a diet and I lost a few stone and I felt really good and I wanted to look good. So I decided that the pale colour that I have, being Scottish, I wanted to change that, and I decided to get tanned. And I went to a spray tan, as it was recommended to me by somebody else. And to say it went wrong would probably be an understatement, but I kind of picked a colour, the spray tan, where I kind of looked like I'd been tangled. I looked very orange. Amazing blue eyes. My eyes looked fabulous. But anyway, and I came back, obviously, to work. It was at the weekend. I came back on the Monday, and I think everyone was a bit surprised. The other thing was I had these kind of lines on my forehead because when I was getting the spray tan, I didn't know the pressure of these jets. And I remember kind of getting a fright and kind of making a frown or something and got these little marks on my head. So I looked like a cartoon character, actually. And so initially, I think there was a bit of, what do we do? Because, you know, if I'm with the prince, there was a very sweet smell off this tan. And I think they were worried that the prince would probably smell it. So it's safe to say that for about a week or so, I didn't kind of go near Prince Charles. I think I kind of kept out the way so that he didn't even know. But I think the some of the other staff thought it was best. And so I was kind of took a step back. But Princes William and Harry obviously saw me and saw this. And I remember the first time when they saw me, they were a bit surprised. I was off duty and they saw me and couldn't quite believe that it was me. And to say they had a giggle would be an understatement. And I remember William and Harry both kind of saying to me, but is it everywhere? And I said, yes. I said, I went in and had the full spray tan. And they said, and they looked at my fingernails. My fingernails had gone orange. And they said, what, but is it on your toes? And I remember they asked me to take my shoes and socks off so they could see what colour my toes were. And they couldn't stop laughing. And the laughter was so contagious. Then I ended up laughing. And I think that's when they said, oh, you know, you've been tangled. And the two of them were very much kind of egging each other on. And it was hysterical. I mean, I laughed because I thought it was really funny. Thankfully, I saw the funny side of it. I just wanted it to go. I wanted to kind of go and wash it off. But it lasted for quite a while. Just so you know, it lasted for, I think, over a month, if not longer. But it was fun. It was actually very surreal having this conversation with both of them. But as I said, they loved it and got a lot of humour out of it and fun out of it, which is quite good. Maybe that's what I should do. Maybe I should go and get another spray tan and then meet up with both of them, and then it might bring them together again. Have a laugh at the state I'm in. The other thing people sometimes have said to me, that with the Royal household, about the support side and when it comes to the kind of mental health and how would it have worked, and do there's politics in every organisation, every household, private home. You couldn't not, it'd be impossible. I'd be lying to you if I was to say there's a perfect organisation or household somewhere there's not a single political issue. So of course there is, and each organisation deals with it in their own way. And so yes, I would like to think, and I'm sure that's how it works, is that they do support people when they struggle, even royals. But it's difficult to comment on that one because I'm no longer there, so I don't quite know exactly what goes on or what's taken place, especially in the last couple of years. And if I did, I'd probably be able to talk about it anyway, unless I was officially asked. So it's quite tricky. But all I'll say is that the royal family, with the Queen, are very good. They're very close family. They support each other in the most amazing way, and I've witnessed that. I've seen that support. And I'm not saying that it's not possible that it could break down or that it goes, well, we know it's broken down, it can go wrong, because they're human, like you and me, they're human. And that's the reality of it. Like the rest of the world, when William got married, it was exciting, it was joyous, it was wonderful, and Harry was thrilled for his brother. I always remember wondering if it would change the relationship slightly, because obviously I believe that your partner or your wife or your husband becomes your best friend. So suddenly the two princes would no longer have that exact same relationship, because Prince William's best friend would become his wife, Kate. And that's, as we can all see, is what's happened. The wonderful thing is, William and Kate very much kept Harry in that fold. And we used to see them doing things together, having fun together, having a laugh together. And it was great because we could see this wonderful team. And I think a lot of us were excited about it because this is the future. This is the future of the monarchy. The Queen has done such an amazing job with Prince Philip at establishing a secure monarchy, and then obviously her son and his wife would then take over, and then latterly you'd have Prince William. At this point, you'd have Prince William, his beautiful wife, now the Duchess of Cambridge, formerly Kate Middleton, and Prince Harry. So it was exciting times. And then I think, look, all of us, we were hoping that Harry would meet someday and fall in love. You can tell me if I'm wrong on this one, but I also think that we all felt really protective. When they lost their mother, we all just wanted to pick them up and protect them and wrap them in cotton wool and make sure they were okay. I think the whole, not just the country and the UK, I think the whole world, most people wanted just to protect them. And that love and support has carried on throughout the years. And then when Prince William got married, I think we all kind of thought, great, it's just Prince Harry to kind of worry about, if you like, because it's the he's not settled down yet. And then we had all the kind of the headlines saying that he was a playboy prince and all this kind of thing, but he was doing nothing. I wouldn't have said there was anything wrong. He was just being a normal 20-year-old, enjoying life and being happy and doing things that he enjoyed, and he still worked and he served the country. You know, he's given service for the country and the Commonwealth. So I never really saw an issue in that personally, and I thought it's great that he's able to kind of let his hair down. It's just a shame that the media kind of followed him around and kind of picked up on it as they went. And as all of you know, he's had a few girlfriends over the years. And then, of course, he met Meghan and fell madly in love. And we were all thrilled for him at the time. I mean, everybody was so excited. Everything you read was positive. It was great. There was a wedding coming up. And I didn't know anyone that wasn't happy or excited. And it was the fact that it was this beautiful American girl, mixed race, a divorcee, all these things that at one time you would never have imagined somebody in the British royal family being able to marry, especially with the divorcee. You never thought that would be able to happen, but of course it does now happen. That's completely normal, if I can say that. And it was really exciting, really exciting. I remember, as you know, I was at the wedding and I was really excited about the wedding, and I enjoyed it as everyone else enjoyed it, and you just felt so positive about the future, you know, because suddenly you think this is great. The boys are now both married. They're going to have they've got their lives now. They're going to work as a team, and if you remember, they were called the Fab Four. And the Fab Four were William, Kate, Harry and Meghan, and we used to see them initially doing things together, and suddenly it became all about these four young royals who were the future of the British monarchy. And once again, everyone was excited. There was just so much positivity for the royal family. And in a way, we kind of a little bit forgot about the older royals. You know, we kind of forgot a little bit about the Queen and Prince Philip and Prince Charles, because we were all so focused on these young royals. And I think the older royals were really happy because, you know, especially with the Queen, it's securing her dynasty, it's securing the future of the monarchy. So of course it was exciting for everyone, and it was just a real feel good all round. And of course the Queen would be happy because it's going to secure the future of the dynasty. I mean, it secures the future of the monarchy. So of course it was great times. So after the wedding and all the families, well, Harry and Meghan and obviously William and Kate had all settled into their individual households, and I think initially it was all under one kind of umbrella, and then obviously you had the households were going to separate, and I didn't think anything unusual about that, because with royal households, when royals get married and they have their own separate households, so nothing unusual about that. And the Royal Foundation was obviously all four of them, which we heard them all talking about the foundation, and so everything about it just seemed really secure and good, and I had no indication really of anything that was going to kind of go wrong. One of the things I was once told by a journalist just after the wedding is that the press were going to run stories about Meghan and Kate, about what they wear, and in a way kind of try to compare them. And I remember the journalist kind of saying to me that it can be a bit tricky because it's almost trying to say who's doing better, a bit of a competition thing. And I remember thinking that was a bit unfair if that was what was going to happen. And of course it did. I remember seeing papers, the headlines, and it was very much what Kate wore, what Meghan wore, what Kate did right, what Meghan did right, what Kate did wrong, what Meghan did wrong. And they were very much comparing them. And I did think at the time that's not really fair. But that's kind of what happens. I mean, that's, again, when you're in that spotlight, and sadly, you know, with the media, that's something that they can do. And it is upsetting because obviously it's going to cause stress for those individuals that it's happening to. I'm sure at the same time they'd probably have a giggle and a laugh about it, but at some point they're probably going to think, well, why are we getting compared? And of course that's part of, whether it's right or wrong, that's part of being under that spotlight of being a member of the royal family. So when we started hearing that there was a divide or issues between the two boys, the two princes, I tabooed it. I dismissed it. I even gave interviews saying that I didn't believe it because I knew how close they were, how they are with each other, and it just didn't make sense. I basically said it's not true. And I stuck to this because I just couldn't fathom, I couldn't believe that this could even be true. And then when they started saying there was issues between both the households, as in the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, again, I still thought, no, it doesn't sound right. Can't be possible. So I still stuck to the same. When I was giving my interviews, I still said the same, that I'm sure it's speculation, it's just gossip. And then we had that day when the statements came out from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex and the palace. Obviously, two completely different views. And it was really difficult because I was completely gobsmacked. Because when I read the statement released by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, and then I saw the statement from the palace, it was very clear that they weren't talking, that there was no communication going on, and Harry and Meghan had made one decision without, obviously, how it came across, consulting with the palace. Because the way the palace works, and I said this at the time, it's very uniformed. It's run perfectly, a well-oiled machine, and everything is done in a certain way, and communications are done a certain way, and everyone is on the same sheet. Literally, they all are going with the same thing when there's public announcements, because obviously it's got to be seen to be unanimous. They've got to be all saying the same thing. So suddenly, when we had this kind of contradiction going on, that was when I remember sitting there watching the news, and I just thought, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. This can't be happening. I even thought maybe it's a joke. Maybe it's some sort of an April Fool's. Obviously, we're in January, so that was unlikely. If it had been the 1st of April, then it was possible. But even that, it just didn't seem right. And then, of course, as things went forward, realised that there was a divide. Of course, I have forgot to kind of mention that, again, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, as the Duchess of Sussex, gave interviews just before saying about how about their feelings about things. So it became kind of known that something wasn't quite right. And then also we had these statements in the January. So it was heartbreaking for me. I found it really sad because these are two brothers that were very close, and suddenly something wasn't right. And then, of course, there was the Sandringham Summit, as it was nicknamed, which is where you had the Queen, Prince Charles, Prince William, and Prince Harry all get together to discuss how to go forward. And that's when it was decided, obviously, that Harry and Meghan would live for so many months in America and so many months in the UK. And I think what Harry and Meghan wanted and what the Queen and the senior members of the royal family wanted were very, it appears to be two different things. And it wasn't sadly going to work. So I think that was when it was decided to give them that year to see how they got on in America. And unfortunately, I say unfortunately, it's just how it works. The Queen obviously had said you can't be a royal and not undertake the duties and live, not be here in the UK to carry out those duties. I think. I mean, a lot of you remember exactly what was said at the time, but that was kind of more or less how it was. They couldn't pick and choose, basically, and obviously that would have caused upset all round. And that was obviously when the Duke and Duchess of Sussex then left to go and live in LA. And of course, that was a shock as well, because never did I think that would happen. And then a lot of what they were going to do changed, because I don't know if you remember, there was different ideas and things that they were going to do, and then it had to change for different reasons, or because they decided to change things. And it became really, really difficult, I think, for everyone. Really, really, I just felt really sorry for them. And of course, they set up their new life in LA, and they seem to enjoy being over there. We've obviously had Prince Harry come back to the country a few times. Sadly, obviously, for the death of his grandfather, who he was very close to, and I have no doubt that would have affected him very much. And then for the unveiling of the statue of the mother, which was a really significant event, because it saw for the first time in a long time just the two princes spending time together at the statue of their mother. Of course, they were together for the funeral of the grandfather, but obviously they didn't really have, it appears to be, they didn't have that much time to speak to each other, where I'm assuming at the unveiling of the statue they would have had a bit more of an opportunity to have a chat. And who knows what the conversations they might have had. Maybe, hopefully, maybe it was to begin to try to fix the relationship. I personally would like to see it getting fixed. Now, there's a lot of people out there who are obviously blaming different people within both sides of things. And I think it's really difficult, because we can all judge, we can all, and as I said earlier on, it's really important we have our views, because that's what makes us human. But at the same time, maybe we've got to kind of remember that, these choices, these things that they do, I'm a huge believer in fate, as some of you know from my other conversations. So this is obviously meant to be, and I think we've kind of got to take a step back and let them get on with it and see how they get on. A lot of you have been annoyed, I think, about the fact that they still kind of carry out royal duties as royals, and the Queen hasn't taken away the titles as of yet, so they are still technically royals in name and carry out some things in those names. Now, I think they have said they want to use the Christian names, and that's up to them. I suppose it's their choice. I know some of you said, well, you can't just pick and choose, but obviously they've got an understanding with the Queen on this, and I think we've got to kind of respect that and assume that that's what they're allowed, what they're being allowed, or what's been discussed that they can do going forward. And the other thing is, a lot of you said, how the Queen must be so upset with him. Harry has got a wonderful relationship with his late grandfather and with the Queen. Wonderful relationship. And I'm sure the Queen would be really keen on trying to make sure that it works for him. I don't disbelieve that for a second. She's such a kind lady, and just would want her grandson to be happy, and that will be at the forefront of her mind, and for his wife. So I think that's what we'll be very much what should be trying to work towards, is how to secure them so that they can be happy doing what they're doing, and obviously the rest of the family can carry on being the royal family. I noticed just before all this actually happened that the Queen was doing her Christmas broadcast message. I think it was in 2019, and there was a picture behind her of obviously the Queen, Prince Charles, Prince William and Prince George, and it was almost saying this is the future of the monarchy. And I believe Prince Charles has also indicated that he would like to slim the monarchy down. So I believe that the reality is the monarchy is and was going to change. And it might have meant that possibly the Duke and Duchess of Sussex would have had less of a role. So maybe that's also what prompted them to make this decision, and while they're still young, change that direction. Possibly. I'm not sure, but it's possible. So I would like to think going forward that the relationship between the two princes somehow will mend, and between the households, and that hopefully going forward, Harry and Meghan will make a success of doing what they do in the States and potentially when they come to the UK, and the British royal family will continue to make a success, as they have done, of a very modern royal family. And I think in the years to come, it will continue to be successful, and we will see changes. I think there's going to be a lot of changes coming up with the monarchy in the future, but that's really important, because in order for it to survive, that's what it does. It adapts and it changes, and that's why we're lucky enough still to have the royal family that we've got today. I should also quickly mention, everyone's talked about, to this day, about how there's still this fallout. We don't actually know if there is still fallout. We don't know that. No, nobody's actually said there's definitely still a fallout. So for all we know, there could have been something a while back and it's been resolved long ago. And I think that's what we've also got to respect. We've got to respect that, to give them that privacy. And like with any family, we've got to leave them to heal, and if it hasn't been fixed. But as I said, we don't know. We're only reading things that are in the media. They haven't actually said anything. So I think until they actually say something, if they even do say something, we've got to respect that and kind of give them the space and support, if I can say, continue to support the family, the monarchy, and just focus on the positive things, which that could be one of them. They could have already, if they even was, if they hadn't actually fixed it, they could have already resolved it, and it could all be good for all we know. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation on the two royal brothers, and I say it every time, please keep your likes coming in. Please very much keep those comments and conversations going, and please keep subscribing. The comments are really interesting, because you know that I read them. I do my best to respond to them, and I love the discussion points. I know sometimes it get a bit heated, and all I'll ask of you sometimes is that we've kind of got to respect each other's views, even though we might not agree with it. And some of you are very good at being very kind of dignified with each other. But I think it is important that everyone can express those views and keep those discussions going, because it's a good place to discuss these kind of things. But please keep the comments coming in, and also what future conversations you would like to hear about, because I'm always happy to do these conversations, but I also want to make sure that I'm giving conversations that are interesting and relevant to all of you. And I've got to say before I go, weirdly, I've not got Shumba today, because we've got the most gorgeous weather at last in the Cotswolds, and Shumba's decided to sunbathe. So I saw him pack himself off with his little beach towel and his sun cream, and off he's gone outside, and I haven't seen him since. So weirdly, he's not noticed that I've been filming, so he's got a day off. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching today's End Conversation. As I said, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next Wednesday for the next At Home with the Royal Butler, and then of course next Friday I'll be back with my next End Conversation with the Royal Butler. Until then, stay safe.